what a wonderful world. Hey guys, so welcome to Community Table, and this is the show where I'm going to show you what you can do with the ingredients in your pantry, but in sort of a more globally inspired fashion. So today I'm talking about cans of tomato sauce, and I'm using this opportunity to address a tweet from a couple of days ago where a GW professor was like, you know, chicken tikka masala is one of the top things that people are ordering off Uber Eats because it's kind of become a comfort food here in America. Woohoo! And he was like, I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to teach you what it is in case you don't know. And for those of you who love it, as you should, I'm going to show you how to make it. So the first thing is to make a marinade for your chicken. You can make this as simple or as complicated as you want. It's just simply pieces of chicken thighs that I've cut into chunks. And I've marinated it in some yogurt, some grated ginger and grated garlic. And actually you could stop right there. In my original recipe, that's what I did. But in this one, I just wanted to take it a little bit further. So I added some paprika and I added some garam masala. Garam masala is an Indian spice mix with lots of those warm spices like cinnamon and cloves and cardamom, okay? So you can marinate this overnight. I've marinated it for about an hour at room temp. And now I'm putting it on this baking sheet and I'm gonna roast it, even broil it. I would broil it if I wasn't using parchment paper. I'm scared it's gonna burn. And it smells so good.
What does it smell like?
It smells, gosh, it just reminds me of being a kid because this is kind of tandoori chicken. And we would only make tandoori chicken, or my mum would, for sort of special occasions when people were coming over because it was kind of like barbecue food. You would make this marinade, you'd marinate the chicken, then you'd get the coals going, people would start drinking beer, and people, not me. and then, you know, we'd start grilling the chicken. So it just smells like tangy and spicy from the garlic and the ginger, but not spicy like a chili. Probably should use 2 sheet pans, but honestly, I just cannot be bothered. I might regret this later. I'm doing a double batch because there's 6 of us in this house, and every time I make a recipe, there's never leftovers. So I'm gonna make a double batch and hope for leftovers. So there we go. It's all on there. Put it as close to your heating element as possible so it gets a little char on it. That's what you're looking for, okay? All right, in this puppy goes. So I'm gonna let that roast and cook for about 15-20 minutes until I get some good color on it. Okay, now it's time to make the sauce. So for the sauce, I'm gonna start with some butter. Obviously, this is hot. I'm gonna add some oil. Okay, and then before you guys joined me, I was sitting here for a wicked long time grating ginger and garlic. So this is the only thing that's a little bit labor intensive. This is the garlic. This is the ginger, and all I do is I use a microplane, like one of these guys, and just grate the garlic and the ginger on here. And it just gives you this fresh, vibrant, alive, aromatic to your sauce that you absolutely need. And in fact, if you want, you can make a whole jar of this. Just put it in your food processor and put it in a jar and keep it in the fridge. It's great when you just need some minced garlic. Why not add some minced garlic and ginger in equal parts, okay? So here's where I'm gonna get fancy. You don't have to do this, but I like to. So I'm gonna do some whole spices here. These are Indian bay leaves. Look at the size of these guys, eh? A couple of those. I'm gonna add some cinnamon sticks. These are some cloves. I've got about 7 of them. And then this is the cardamom, and I'm just gonna try to crush it. Actually, since I'm making this for my family, I'm just gonna use my teeth. I wouldn't do this if I was in a restaurant, obviously, guys, but desperate times. And turn the heat up a little. You want it sort of sizzling because this is releasing the flavor of these. And as that flavor releases, it kind of reminds me of chai, right? Because those are all the same flavors that go into chai, the cinnamon, the cardamom, the cloves, but then bathing in that nutty butter. It's so good. This has to be the recipe that people ask me about all the time. and I'm happy to show you how to do it. If you're scared of making curries, this is the one I always say you should try first, because it's pretty simple. We're basically making a tomato sauce, a creamy tomato sauce, but we're adding some Indian flavorings to it. So as those whole spices are sizzling away and really adding their flavor to that butter, I'm gonna work on these jalapenos. My family is not a huge fan of spicy food, except for me and my father-in-law. So I have these jalapenos, and instead of chopping them up, I'm going to just stab them a few times. And so that way I'm gonna get some of that bitter capsicum flavor from them, but I'm not gonna get much in the way of heat. So these two now go straight into this pan, along with that ginger garlic. You just wanna let that kind of cook the moisture out of it a little, get a little tiny bit of color on it. Do this really quick. Have your cans of tomato sauce ready to go. And you can use fresh tomatoes too, but honestly at the moment, A, who can find them? And B, who can be bothered? So I'm gonna add, and smell that garlic and that ginger just caramelizing away in there. And here's a second one. Now I added it now because I didn't want that garlic to burn. I'm opening up my spice tin here. So we're gonna add a couple teaspoons of paprika, one, like nearly two. I'm gonna do like 3/4 of a teaspoon of turmeric, and I'm gonna do a big honking teaspoon of garam masala. And that's it. I'm gonna add some water to the sauce, and I'm gonna cover it, and I'm just gonna let it simmer for about 15, 20 minutes. Basically, as long as the chicken cooks, that's how long I'm gonna let this guy simmer. One question that I know some of you might have is why I didn't add those spices directly into the fat to let them bloom. I have found that if you put them right into the fat, they tend to burn. And so if I put them in with the tomatoes, there's enough fat in there that it's gonna bloom over time, slowly and gently. And so that works. All right, I'll see you in 15 minutes.
What is something that people could do for 15 minutes?
They could go check out my Instagram, because you can watch Bren tell stories to the kids. Ha ha ha!
Side plug.
Okay, so it's been 15, 20 minutes. I just strained the sauce because it had all of those whole spices in it. And now no one's gonna bite down on a whole clove. Because I remember that Jeffrey Zakarian did that once when I was on Chopped, and he did not like it. And I have never done it again. Okay, meanwhile, chicken. I turned it up to broil because 475 just wasn't doing it. This is the great thing about this recipe. Burn your chicken. Burn your chicken, because it's gonna taste better. Remember that originally this was a dish that was created to use up leftovers. Leftovers of tandoori chicken, which are cooked in a tandoor so they get really charred in there, because that tandoor oven is like 700 degrees Fahrenheit, like just like a pizza oven basically. Now the chicken goes into the sauce, and so you get another layer of flavor from that marinade. So that's why if you want to put more spices in there, you can. If you don't want to, there's plenty of flavor in the sauce, you're gonna be fine. Now there's one key ingredient that we need for this chicken tikka masala that I could not get today, because the Indian store is closed because of you know what. So we're just going to have to make do without it. But if you happen to have some dried fenugreek leaves at home, or your Indian market is open, or what, I don't know, you have an Indian neighbor, go get just a little pinch, because that over the top is really what makes this such, like, tastes like what you remember from takeout. Okay, so I'm gonna very carefully fold this into the sauce. And test your chicken. If it's not cooked through, you can let it simmer in the sauce for a little while, just to bring these flavors together for about 5-10 minutes. But just because we wanna wrap this up and get dinner on the table, I'm just gonna finish it. So, heavy cream. Ain't nothing wrong with that, people. About a cup. Ooh. I don't like to make it too creamy because then you lose the flavor of everything you cook with. I am salivating. And then a little bit of honey to sweeten it. About a teaspoon or so should do ya. I'm gonna stir that together, and it's done. Look at how good that looks.
Why are you whispering?
Because when things are really pretty, I think that you should talk very quietly to them, because they're very fragile and I don't want to scare them. Just like deer in the woods. Does anybody else agree with me? And then this makes a ton of gravy. So, you know, make sure that you have some bread to sop that up. Or, again, pantry staples, make yourself a big pot of rice, a little salad, and that's dinner. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Oh, yummy. There you go, guys. Chicken tikka masala. Didn't really take that long. Now you all know what it is. And you don't have to order takeout unless you want to, which is totally fine too. Support the little guy. All right, guys, I'll see you next week with another community table recipe. Bye.